Hi, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Really quickly, today we're going to be doing a quick lesson on how to find the equation of a line using the y equals mx+b method. Before we get started, I want to just introduce, we've talked about slope, and that's what we're going to be doing now, how to find that slope using 2 points. And then once we have those 2 points, how can we find the equation of that line? We talked about in class also the name of the line. And that's what we're going to be trying to do. So if you have some trouble, please feel free to pause the video, rewind it, or ask questions as after the after the YouTube video when I meet you again in class. So just get rid of my face so it doesn't distract. And I'm going to share my screen with you. And hopefully this works. It's not the right one. There we go. And hopefully you can see this PDF of the question that we're doing. So just to roughly go through some things, let me just get rid of my keyboard so I can actually help you all understand what's going on. So here we go. We talked about the word slope, and this is what we're looking at. The slope is the rate of change or the gradient of that line. And as you can see to the right of your screen or in your workbook, we have a rising line, and there's our axis x and y. So this is a rising line. Now, if you take a look at it, they're introducing some concepts here already. And the official thing that we're looking at is basically the changes in any 2 points that actually lie in this line. So let me just zoom in so you can see a little bit further. And let's just use a different color so people can see. So if we have a point here and another point, point 2, we're trying to find the changes in those x values and the changes in their y values. This word change is that funny looking triangle that you see, and it's called delta. Now, it's not super important, but that represents the change in the variable. So the way that we say this is that the change in y would be written as delta y. This is the Greek letter D, and the changes in x, that'd be delta x. And that's how you say it. So one more time, we talked about rise or fall, the relationship of slope, and it can actually be to the left as well, right? So we talked about this in our class. And so as I move this up, what we're trying to do is finding the vertical distance from one point to the next. And a lot of you remember that I used in our sheets, we want to find the changes in y. That's that y distance. And the changes in x, that's that distance. That's why we get this formula. So we use the letter m for slope. M is equal to delta y over delta x. But that doesn't help us mathematically. So this word change in really means difference, and difference means subtraction. Hence, we have this new formula, and we'll always provide it for you, where m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, don't be alarmed by the 2's and the 1's. Notice these are what's called subscripts. Subscript. They're not exponents, and they're just like for notation. And so that's why, if you really want to think about it, the first point, A, I called it P1, that is x1, y1. Notice, again, we always have the ordered pair of x comma y. So the first coordinate is x1, y1, and the second point is B, x2, y2. Let's now try to use it in practice. For question 1, example 1, we say, find the rate of change of a line given 2 points using the slope equation above. Now I'm going to write it down so people can see it. And just to reiterate one more time, maybe a bit further off to the side, notice that the slope is the rise over the run. So that's what that correlates to. Now we're going to try to do it algebraically without any math, without any visuals, but I will sketch up afterwards so that you can kind of see what's going on. So this question says, calculate the slope of the line that passes the points 2, 3, and 5, 9. Now, most students will do it this way. The first point, we'll call it 2, 3. So I put x1, y1. And the 5, 9 is x2, y2. I'm going to copy the formula again, even though you don't have to all the time once you've done this, but I encourage it so that you can see what I'm doing. Pause the video if you want to try to do your own substitution of the values, but I think you'll get along with what we're doing. In terms of the rise, I'm going to take the difference of the y-coordinates, in this case y2, minus the y1. In this case, notice it's 9 minus 3. In terms of finding the changes in x, or the run, I'm going to do x2 minus 2. Folks, we've talked about this already way back in February or in March. What do we do next? Well, we do the numerators as if they were brackets. 9 minus 3, that is 6. 5 minus 2, that is 3. We don't stop here, though. Notice you always reduce our fractions. So the final answer is 2. So this is the slope of the line. But for some extension questions, pause the video if you want to answer yourself. What kind of line would this be? I'll give you a hint. Is the line going to be a rising line, a falling line, horizontal, or vertical? The correct answer is rising line. Here's a small little sketch to prove that. I'm going to plot the first point, 2, 3, as follows. And 5, 9, and I should have made this a little bit bigger, 5, 9, so this is a little bit wonky. Like so. Like so. And if I connect these two dots, yay, we get that rising line. That's why a lot of students actually do sketch it just to make sure they visualize what's happening. More importantly, what does this 2 really mean? It rises up 2 units, and it runs right 1 unit. Let's try this question. Find the slope of the line that passes through the points 0, 3 and 5, 0. You try it yourself. Pause the video if you want. Otherwise, I'm just going to execute and do the question. Here's the answer. Visually, some of you actually could have done it this way. The 0, 3. That's the y-intercept. 5, 0. That's the x-intercept. Understanding visually, and if you remember my class, what kind of line do we have? We have a falling line. And to help everyone out understand this, notice it falls 3. And it runs 5 units. Some students would rather actually solve this visually rather than using the slope formula. Let's keep on going. Question 2. Write the equation of a line with a slope of 2 and a y-intercept of 5. Hint, use the equation of y equals mx+b. To decode this really quickly, our slope of a line is 2. Our y-intercept, that's 5. Specifically, it is 0, 5. Using the formula of our equation of our line, y equals mx+b, we're just going to sub in the information. To help some people visualize what's going on, we practiced already doing a table of values or using the y equals mx+b line. At 5, we'd get a rising line. Oops, Mr. Chen missed. Let's try that again. Like so, where this means rises up 2 units and runs 1 unit from 5. Now, I don't have a grid, so we're going to practice that later. Example 3. Example 3 is a little bit harder. This question now is saying, write the equation of the line when the slope is 3/4 and it goes to the point of -12 and 1 on the line. So right now we're changing gears and we want to find the name of this line. Now it's not that easy, so we'll have to use some solving and substitution and rearranging. Things that we've already covered in March and April. Here's how we're going to do it. You can follow the instructions in the box here, but we're just going to jump to it. Pause the video if you want to read it. Here we go. Start off with the equation of y equals mx+b. I'm going to use color so people can see. The slope is 3/4, so we're going to sub that in. But notice our x value is -12 and our y value is 1. Pause the video if you want to know where we're going to sub those in and try it yourself. The 1's going to go here for y. And our x value is going to be -12 right here. So what we have is, and I'll read it to you, 1 is equal to 3/4 times -12 plus b. What we're trying to do is really solve for b. So, doing some order of operations, 1 is equal to -36 divided by 4 plus b. That's really -9 plus b. And therefore, when we do adding of 9, oops, that's too faint. Let's try that again. Maybe you can't see it on your screen. I used a too light of yellow. I'm going to add 9 to both sides. Notice that's the solving part that we've been talking about. So the b is equal to 10. Put it all together. The equation of this line is y equals 3/4 x plus 10. That is the equation of this line. So you might have to practice in making sure you understand. One more time, when we use this method of y equals mx+b to find the equation of the line, you're really actually trying to rearrange for b. And that's why we had to teach you how to solve equations. Let's keep on going. Example 4. Unfortunately, this example got cut off, so I don't know what it's showing in your workbook. Maybe we'll have to make it up. I'm going to make this up. The point is 2, 2, and the other point, because there's a blank here and there's a typo. So we'll make this, I don't know, 3, -5. I just made this up right at the spot. So in this case, we have to find the slope first, and then we're going to do what we just did before by subbing in back into the y equals mx+b. Here's what we're going to do. To find the slope of the line, I'm going to sub in y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now notice it doesn't matter which one you choose, but I chose this as my x1, y1, and it chose my 3 as my x2, y2. What are we going to get? We're going to get -7 over 1, and so that's why we have our falling line. But now what we're going to do, and notice, for the y equals mx+b method, all we needed to use is 1 point. So which point do you want to use? Do you want to use the first point, the 2, 2, or do you want to do the second point, 3, -5? Most students will choose the 2, 2 in this example. So we're going to use this one. What does that mean? Pause the video if you want to try it yourself by subbing in. But I think you understand what we're going to do. The y's and the x are going to be both 2's. Really easy. And the m value, which we just calculated, and I should have highlighted that for you can see it. That's going to be our m. So I think you understand we're trying to solve for b. We're going to get 2 is equal to -14 plus b. And just like we did before, add 14 to both sides. What does b equal? b equals 16. Pause the video if you want to tie it all together. Our equation for the one that I made up is going to be y equals negative 7x plus 16. Example 5. I might have to zoom out just so that I can see everything. There we go. Write the equation of a line, y-intercept from when m is equal to negative 2/3 and the line passes through the origin. Now the origin represents 0, 0. And so this is really easy. Some already understanding, hey, wait a second. If a line passes through the origin, that means it's direct variation. This is going to be easy. Y equals mx plus b, using that form. We have the slope. That's the answer. Technically, you could add plus 0, because that is the y coordinate. But that's a little silly. So that's the answer. Example 6. A line has an x-intercept of 4 and a y-intercept of 3. Find the slope of the line and sketch the line. Hint, it may help to write the coordinates for each intercept. This is a little silly. You saw me already do this, so we'll repeat this. The x-intercept is 4, 0, and the y-intercept is 0, 3. Visually, I'll do it over the sketch. I won't use the grid if that's okay. 4, 0 is over here. 3, 0 is over there. Connect those two dots. We have a falling line. The slope of this line is negative 3/4. Now, don't feel bad if you actually had to plug in the x1, y1, and the x2, y2 to prove to yourself for that. But notice, it's easier actually to do visually for this particular question, especially when we give you the x-intercepts and the y-intercepts. Now let's write the equation of the line. Some people are kind of concerned. How did I get this 3? Well, because the 3 is that y-intercept. So there you have it, folks. We've actually figured out how to find the equations of lines and do all the questions from our workbook. Whoops, I lied. Question 7. Let's do it quickly. Question 7. Write the equation of line passing the point 4, negative 2 when the y-intercept is 2. Pause the video if you want to try to do it yourself. In this example, it might be easier just actually 0, 2 for that. Find the slope of the line first of all. Pause the video if you want to try to do it yourself. Using the slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Subbing in the values, so what we're going to do is 2 minus negative 2 over 0 minus 4. 2 minus negative 2, that's 4. 0 minus 4, that's negative 4. Folks, you know how to arf this. M is equal to negative 1. Notice now we can write the equation with no problem. Y equals negative 1 x plus 2. And again, some students are saying, how did you get this y equals 0, y equals 2 so fast? Because they're told us the y-intercept is 2, and that's what b is. Right? I think that's it. So hopefully that made sense, and feel free to rewind it. And I do apologize for the jarringness. I already did one take before, but I want to thank you if you understood all the examples. Feel free to ask me questions in class, and I wish you good luck. Bye for now.